There's an uncomfortable truth that almost no one is ready to hear. Much of what you believe you know about yourself, about the world, and even about the universe is wrong. And it's not for lack of intelligence. It's because certain silent signals have been ignored for too long. The body warns, the mind finds it strange, but routine teaches you to move on. How many times have you felt something out of place, a nameless discomfort, a fear without a clear cause, a premonition difficult to explain? These are not accidents. They are warning signs, hidden symptoms, messages that go unnoticed while everyone pretends everything is normal. The problem is that we've been trained to disbelieve these warnings, to call exaggeration, coincidence, or nonsense what are in fact early warning signs. And when someone learns to ignore the body's signals, they also begin to ignore the signals of reality. The result? People living on autopilot, repeating fragile certainties, trusting in overly comfortable explanations. But science has begun to stumble upon facts that shatter these certainties. Recent discoveries show that memories can be inherited, that the universe is literally disappearing before our eyes, that decisions you think are yours may not even come from your mind. And here's the point almost no one wants to face. If these facts are true, then much of what you've learned about control, identity, and security simply crumbles. But at the same time, something powerful emerges. Because those who learn to recognize symptoms they shouldn't ignore, those who begin to listen to the signals their body is giving them, start to see the world with a different clarity. It's not fear, it's awareness. It's not paranoia, it's a keen understanding of reality. Today, you're going to learn facts that weren't meant to comfort you. They were meant to awaken you, and after that, it becomes impossible to see life the same way again. Memories can be inherited. It begins with an invitation to pay attention. Many warning signs that arise in life are not born in the present. Unexplained fears, exaggerated reactions, and silent symptoms can be signs from the body carrying old stories. There are early warning signs that appear as emotional discomfort, strange aversions, or sudden anxiety. Don't ignore when something seems not to make sense, because these initial symptoms don't always come from personal experiences. Science shows that intense traumas can leave biological marks. These silent signs function like notes passed down from generation to generation. And when the body speaks like this, it's because something is asking to be heard. Consider someone who avoids water without ever having experienced a real scare. These hidden symptoms may be an emotional inheritance. The mentor would explain that DNA doesn't just store eye color, but also signals your body is sending you about survival. In studies, fear responses have been transmitted without direct learning, a classic warning sign ignored by many. Therefore, don't ignore automatic and disproportionate reactions. A practical exercise helps. Write down recurring emotional triggers in a notebook and observe patterns. This simple habit reveals symptoms you shouldn't ignore. Sometimes, understanding the origin already reduces the weight of the fear. He would advise treating these bodily signals with curiosity, not guilt. Trauma-focused therapies, such as EMDR or family constellations, help decode inherited early warning signs. Reading also provides guidance. The Body Keeps the Marks by Bessel van der Kolk opens practical paths. Small actions count, such as breathing exercises when silent symptoms arise. The goal is not to erase the past, but to give it new meaning. After all, understanding inherited memories prepares the ground to realize that not everything we feel originates within us. And this perception opens space to look beyond. The universe is disappearing. He often says that some warning signs don't come from the body, but from the sky itself. The universe, which has always seemed stable and eternal, emits silent signals that something is changing too fast. Galaxies are moving away like lights going out in the distance, a phenomenon invisible to the naked eye, but real. These are early symptoms of an expansion that doesn't slow down. Don't ignore the idea that what we see today may not exist tomorrow. Just like in the human body, there are early warning signs that only trained science can notice, and they indicate loss, distancing, and irreversibility. The mentor often uses a simple metaphor. It's like living in a city where neighborhoods disappear without warning. These hidden symptoms of the cosmos show that there is a horizon beyond which nothing returns. Most people live without noticing these signs that the universe is telling us, just as they live without listening to the signals of their bodies. The parallel is direct. When something gets too far away, there's no way to recover it. Therefore, don't ignore the value of the present moment. Applying this to life is practical. Value knowledge, experiences, and connections while they are still accessible. Ignoring these silent signs generates regret, whether cosmic or personal. He emphasizes that we are in a privileged generation, capable of seeing almost everything that exists. This fact carries profound warning signs about time and finitude. Reading works like A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking helps to internalize this perspective. Small actions count: observing the sky, studying basic astronomy, cultivating curiosity. These habits sharpen perception for symptoms that you shouldn't ignore, both inside and outside yourself. When you understand that even the universe gradually fades away, a silent question is born, and this question prepares the ground for something even more intimate. Gut bacteria control the brain. He often warns that many emotional warning signs begin far from the head. Sudden anxiety, unexplained discouragement, and uncontrollable cravings can be silent symptoms originating in the gut. The body sends signals all the time, but almost no one connects mood with digestion. These initial symptoms go unnoticed because the mind prefers quick explanations. Don't ignore mental fatigue when it appears alongside intestinal discomfort. These are early warning signs of an intense chemical dialogue happening inside. And it happens every day, whether the person likes it or not. The mentor explains lightly, we are hosts to trillions of microorganisms that influence our decisions. These hidden symptoms appear as sudden sugar cravings, unexplained irritability, or unstable focus. These are signs that your body is telling you to adjust the foundation. The practical application is simple. Reduce ultra-processed foods, increase fiber, and include fermented foods like natural yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut. Small dietary changes reduce symptoms that you shouldn't ignore. In a few weeks, your mood responds. When your gut improves, your mind follows suit. He advises observing patterns. Days of poor eating habits often come with silent emotional signals. Writing down what you eat and how you feel helps identify personal warning signs. Reading labels, paying attention to meal times, and mindful consumption are accessible actions. Don't ignore the power of doing the basics well. By taking care of your gut, you learn that not every thought originates in the brain. And this discovery opens up space to question something even more unsettling. The brain senses reality. He often says that some warning signs don't come from the world, but from the filter we use to perceive it. The brain cuts, edits, and reorganizes reality even before consciousness perceives it. What seems obvious is often just a convenient selection. These silent symptoms appear when someone is absolutely certain of something and yet is terribly wrong. Don't ignore the feeling of, how did I not see that before? Because it's one of the early warning signs of mental censorship in action. The body feels first. The mind rationalizes later. The mentor explains with a simple example. The nose is always in the field of vision, but the brain decides to erase it. This same mechanism operates in conflicts, financial decisions, and relationships. Initial symptoms appear as quick judgments, excessive certainties, and distorted memories. These are signs that your body is telling you that something has been edited too much. A useful practice is to slow down important decisions for 24 hours. This interval reduces symptoms that you shouldn't ignore, such as impulsivity and regret. Questioning your own perception becomes a strategic skill. He recommends training your critical eye daily. Reading books like Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman helps identify silent signs of mental biases. Short meditations, even 5 minutes, broaden the perception of these bodily signals before the automatic reaction. Don't ignore the inner discomfort when something seems too right. Often, reality has been softened to avoid discomfort, and by realizing this, a person begins to look at the human past with different eyes. Neanderthals weren't stupid. He often warns that some warning signs come from the stories we repeat without questioning. For a long time, Neanderthals were treated as symbols of backwardness, almost an evolutionary joke. This label, however, hides silent symptoms of our own modern prejudice. When new evidence emerges, it shows that they cared for the sick, created art, and had complex social lives. Don't ignore this pattern. Whenever a group is oversimplified, something is being censored. These are early warning signs of how the narrative can distort reality. The mentor explains that intelligence isn't measured solely by technology. The initial symptoms of this error lie in believing that progress is only about speed and efficiency. Neanderthals manufactured sophisticated tools, used pigments, and even personal adornments. These are signs that the social body is telling us that there was identity, culture, and belonging. Applying this lesson today is practical. Observe how quickly we judge people, professions, or cultures. Don't ignore the impulse to underestimate someone. Generally, this impulse reveals more about the judge than about the person being judged. He advises revising old beliefs as a mental exercise. Reading popular scientific books on human evolution or visiting museums with fresh eyes helps to perceive silent signs of complexity where simplicity was previously seen. This shift in perspective reduces symptoms you shouldn't ignore, such as intellectual arrogance and mental rigidity. By acknowledging that we were wrong about Neanderthals, space opens up for an even more uncomfortable idea. What if our own origins are less terrestrial than we imagine? We can be Martians. He often provokes by saying that some warning signs about who we are don't come from Earth. The idea that life may have begun on another planet sounds absurd at first glance, but it carries silent signs that science has been accumulating. Meteorites, organic molecules, and ancient conditions on Mars point to this possibility. These initial symptoms of an external origin challenge comfortable certainties. Don't ignore it when a theory seems too strange, because many truths began that way. Sometimes the body's signs of discomfort arise simply because the mind resists the new. The mentor calmly explains, if microorganisms have traveled through space, it changes everything about identity and belonging. These hidden symptoms appear as a feeling that we don't fully understand our place in the universe. They are signs that your body is telling you that the boundaries we've learned may be smaller than reality. A practical application is cultivating scientific curiosity, following space news, documentaries, and missions like those of NASA. Don't ignore the psychological impact of this. Perceiving yourself as part of something bigger increases humility and responsibility. He suggests accessible readings on astrobiology and the origin of life to train this broader perspective. This habit reduces symptoms you shouldn't ignore, such as excessive attachment to simple explanations. Questioning one's own origin teaches mental flexibility. And when the mind accepts that life may have come from afar, another, even more disturbing question arises. What if that which seemed useless within us is, in fact, the one giving the orders? Junk DNA controls the body. He often warns that some warning signs are hidden where no one looks. For decades, it was believed that most DNA served no purpose, a veritable biological junk. This thinking generated silent symptoms in science, diseases without clear explanations and incomplete answers. Today, it is known that this so-called junk DNA functions as a command center. Don't ignore it when something labeled as useless begins to show power. These are early warning signs that control is behind the scenes. The mentor explains with a simple metaphor. Genes are instruments, but junk DNA is the conductor. It decides when each part of the body acts, grows, or becomes silent. Initial symptoms appear when this system fails, generating hidden symptoms that confuse diagnoses. These are signs that your body is telling you that the problem isn't where you think it is. Applying this idea to life is straightforward. Not everything that seems secondary is irrelevant. There are small habits, like poor sleep or constant stress, that control everything else. Don't ignore the basics. He emphasizes paying attention to daily details as a practice of self-awareness. Sleeping well, maintaining regular schedules, and reducing excessive stimuli help regulate silent internal signals. Reading about epigenetics broadens the perception of these often overlooked bodily signals. Symptoms that you shouldn't ignore often arise outside the main focus. When you understand that the command comes from invisible layers, the mind is ready to accept another rule-breaking. After all, if the body defies ancient laws, the cosmos can too. The cold spot of the universe. He often says that some warning signs are so significant that their mere existence is frightening. The cold spot in the universe is one such anomaly, an icy void where nothing different should exist. This phenomenon acts as a silent signal that something beyond our reach may have interfered. Don't ignore it when science admits it doesn't know. These initial symptoms of mystery are invitations, not threats. The mentor uses a simple metaphor. It's like waking up with a bruise and not remembering the impact. This cosmic bruise can be an early warning sign of something beyond our universe. The strange feeling it causes is the body reacting to the unknown. Applying this to life is straightforward. Not everything needs an immediate response. Some hidden symptoms call for contemplation, not control. Don't ignore the mystery by trying to stifle it with fragile certainties. He teaches that accepting the unknown strengthens, it doesn't weaken. Reading about cosmology, philosophy, or simply reflecting on the size of the universe helps to put personal problems into perspective. These habits diminish symptoms you shouldn't ignore, such as intellectual arrogance and fear of the unknown. When you accept that there are greater forces at play, a new attitude towards life is born. And it is precisely at this point that everything that has been said begins to connect. After all this, it's hard to pretend nothing has changed. Because now you know, there are warning signs everywhere, in the body, in the mind, and even in the universe itself. Silent symptoms that go unnoticed by those who live on autopilot, but scream at those who learn to observe. Fears that didn't originate with you, thoughts that don't spring from your head, certainties that crumble when reality shows another face. Don't ignore it. Ignoring it has always been the most comfortable choice. And also the most expensive. The question that remains is not whether these facts are too strange. The real question is, how many initial symptoms have you experienced in your life and chosen to ignore? How many bodily signals have you dismissed as tiredness, stress, or all in your head? How many times have the signals your body is giving you been trying to protect you, warn you, or reposition you? Knowledge only becomes power when it becomes action. Perhaps the application begins simply, paying more attention, questioning old certainties, taking better care of your body, and choosing more consciously what you consume, believe, and repeat. And now, I return the responsibility to you in a good way. What are you going to do with all this? Are you going to continue ignoring the symptoms you shouldn't ignore? Or are you going to start seeing the silent signs before they become a rupture? If something here made you uncomfortable, great. Discomfort is a sign of growth. If something here made sense, even better. This channel exists for that, to provoke, awaken, and broaden your vision. So subscribe, activate notifications, and keep walking with us. Because after you learn to read the signs, living on autopilot ceases to be an option.